have a vote of independence within a year too. But let's not speculate on how that will go. So can you turn on your camera, Gawain?
Yeah, I can.
There we are.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. So I should maybe have supplied you with our background, but we should have made a special background with just your
with the front pages.
It's just the coffee. I think I'm gonna try to open my email and see if I can send you the cover of the book. You can put that in the background.
That'd be good.
People were asking, "Oh, does Gawain know how to use Zoom?"
Vaguely.
Yeah, for expert for a year probably is my guess.
Always have to have it on in the background for all these tournaments at least.
How are things in England?
Probably pretty similar to in Scotland.
Quite boring then.
Yeah, I was lucky to escape for a few months to New Zealand, so we've only been back here a month.
Yeah. You are your wife is from New Zealand originally.
Yeah.
So let me see here. Okay, there. I'm sending you an email with your coffee house cover. You can set that as your background if you want. Oh, what? Gawain's name is showing Aagaard, or not on my screen. It's showing Gawain. So that will be a Zoom mistake and not our mistake. So welcome, Gawain, to Thinking Aloud. So I sort of explain the concept to you. I'll show you a few positions, and then you kind of put the chat out of your screen so you can't see it, and you can think aloud on what you're seeing, and don't be too fast with giving answers, and let everyone have a chance. And then we'll swap somewhere halfway through, and I'll embarrass myself.
Cool.
And the team. But you could first tell us a little bit about your two books. I think everyone's very interested in them.
Yeah, 1 second. I'm just trying to get the background and then.
Okay, so I can answer a crucial question first.
Yeah, when's it out? It's probably one you
when
can
the
answer.
books will come to India, it will be something like September, October, November. I am thinking we're sending another shipment of books to India somewhere in August, early August, and the books would be there. It would also include Nigel Short's book, Winning, which we're planning to put out together with Gawain's book.
Okay, hopefully I have a background now.
Kusha is asking if I've edited the books, won't I get 3 points? First of all, I'm going to get I only typeset the first book, and I typeset it, and so I haven't seen the second book at all. I didn't edit the books. That was done by Andrew, and Colin was formatting them. So, and the background is fine. The forward chess date, publication date is likely to be the same as the paper date. Sometimes we put them a week earlier on forward chess, and sometimes we don't. And it will simply be to do with other platforms as well, and sometimes they will prefer to be the same point. Okay, so this is just a little warming up position. You can sort of tell me ideas.
Okay, I'm gonna look.
And what you sort of think. You just
presume who's to move.
Yeah, we have sort of tradition of keeping who's to play at the bottom of the board, and there's also a dot down here that reveals that it doesn't happen to everyone in their space. I don't know how you set it or how you unset it, but I have it.
Okay. I don't think I do. I don't know whether it depends on which. Okay, I'm only looking at your screen.
So,
well, white should be better with that big center. Is my immediate thought.
Yeah, it's much better. It's
is black threatening any annoying moves like knight takes d4 isn't a threat because we have e takes d4, but knight e5 might be annoying. So I'll be looking at trying to kill off that black's good piece, bishop on b7. I'll apologize at this point if you hear snoring coming from my mic. My dog has a habit of falling asleep as I'm talking.
Well, as long as we don't have screaming from the baby, I think we're okay.
Yeah, hopefully she'll stay asleep for a bit.
Yeah. Otherwise, you just go and we'll sort of do what we do. So Aracha's immediate thought is not all wrong, but it's not all right either. Jeremy has already nailed it.
Should I have closed the chat by this point? Thanks, Jeremy. I did see
Yeah. Yeah, it's sort of like you can close it or you can put it so you can't see it, so you can
Yeah.
the edge of it. Sometimes that's easier. So Aracha solved this as well. It's a tactical exercise, so it's sort of a little, but it's just a warming up exercise. A very simple exercise.
I saw bishop a6 is his suggestion.
Yeah, so bishop a6, but of course the main point here, we'll just give everyone a chance to follow up with move 2. We do have a span between players of my meager level and then some who are even a little bit weaker than that. So Ashia here was a very talented little girl from India, found the right idea. And I think Jeremy is 1900, is that right? Kushal 1700, but it's an Indian rating, so you can't trust it.
No, full well playing in these opens. Yeah.
Have you played opens in India?
I only played the Commonwealth Championships when it was in India, which was a painful experience. But for example, playing in Dubai and those kind of tournaments where all the Indian juniors come over and you're really hoping to avoid them in the first few rounds.
Yeah, I will be a senior player in just over a year and a half. And I will be playing tournaments without Indian juniors for the rest of my life. And Caitlin's got it as well. So everyone's, not because Caitlin has it, but there was a lot of other people. I just saw Caitlin's name was the bottom one. So a lot of people have seen that White indeed has this option to snatch a pawn, which was definitely your intention. I should have probably have asked you, but
yeah,
I sort of, I knew you had it covered, but okay. So let's try to...
you can play knight a5, but instead of taking
but you'll
still drop this pawn.
We will be thorough. So what were you planning?
Then you can take on b7 and play queen e7 with a fork.
Yeah, this is a good double attack. If we're very lucky, then we get to play play queen takes f7 and a few moves as well.
Yeah.
But Aracha says, I was thinking, but also bishop b7 and queen d6. So this is bishop b7. Is this queen d6? I'm not sure this is what the last Indian junior champion suggested. Let's move on from this example.
Maybe he means queen d7 instead as a way of defending the bishop, and then take and queen d6. That fork.
So here, yeah, we have this as well. Okay. Now I understand what you're talking about. The other variation made less sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think anyone really knows this. I don't even know if you remember this, but I actually signed off on your IM title originally, like what, 20 years ago almost?
15 years ago.
15 years ago.
Yeah.
Must be more than 15. I've lived in Scotland for 16 and it was in Denmark. So how old are you now?
33.
33. You were 16, so it will make it 17 years ago.
Split the difference.
Yeah. So, so here, black to play. Board is flipped. Everything.
Oh. Sorry, I'll ignore that.
That's fine.
It's,
if you need to go in and accept a parcel, it's fine as well. We're not so.
I think it's probably our dinner, but it can be left outside.
That's good.
Hopefully, yeah, 1 month.
Yeah, it's absolutely fine.
Like the doorbell. It shouldn't be so loud next time.
That's all good.
As long as the dog now doesn't start barking. So there's
Yeah,
someone there.
So I organized an IM tournament in Copenhagen a little bit before I moved to Scotland, and you won it, I think, quite comfortably. At least you made your final.
Yeah, I made my norm. I can't remember.
And then something went wrong, and the form wasn't signed, and your mother wrote to me, and I just signed it and sent it off. And luckily, there's a statute of limitation there, because there was definitely fraudulent saying that I had any right to sign that.
This one looks positional to me.
Yeah, you sort of, I think you already know what to play. It's I'll give you something a little more challenging, but I also want other people to show a chance, because Kushal, who's quite talented here, he's got it absolutely wrong. So that's already says it. I was planning to use this exercise in something we have called a homework club, where every week we have, people can download 2 or 3 pages of exercises, and then they send them, they write the solution, send them to us, and we give them feedback.
Okay, cool.
It's quite nice, yes.
Yeah, this one, don't be materialistic, I think, is the key.
Yeah, so there's a number of suggestions for D5 here, which is not really the spirit of the position.
Opening was this.
But it shows the black's position is quite good, but.
Yeah, I was thinking when I saw it immediately that it was a BOGO, but we have some big bishop on f6 that we wouldn't have in a BOGO Indian.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a Queen's Indian of some type. But how white played a3 and the knights were exchanged is. It is a BOGO Indian, it must be. So bishop b4 and a3 was played, and it went back to e7.
White decided to fianchetto for some
unknown
reason.
Somehow, g3 was played, then knight e4, a3, and knight b2. No, probably not like that. I don't know how it came. Someone's suggesting a3 Queen's Indian. That could be possible. What do we do against d5 here? I don't think it's the best move at all, but we should take it seriously nonetheless.
I would probably want to take on c5 and then take on d5.
It's natural, right?
Give the hanging pawns.
And then just bishop g2.
I was thinking also maybe you can just play bishop g2. I was going to just take on d5 and make things straightforward, but
yeah, I was just wondering what this is like. To sort of make sense of the black play.
Yeah, I don't think black is anything like worse here.
Here you like black, right?
Yeah, or at least it's comfortable for black, but I'd be surprised if white was worse there as well.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, you want to just sacrifice the b3 pawn castle quickly, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So
I'm taking on f6 at some point.
I'm sort of anticipating you're going to come with the dynamic solution to more or less everything. Not that I want to put you in a box or anything, but here the white would be quite happy to do this, especially if white is Gawain.
I don't think I want to play that one because it drops a piece, right? To queen takes queen first.
Did I?
I want to take on f6, I think.
Oh,
Here.
yeah, you want to take an f6 here.
Yeah, especially 2 queen takes queen.
And then maybe, nah.
Here you can take on d2 if you want.
You can take on d2 next move also.
But also queen c3 or something here.
Yeah, maybe. So here.
Here is where I'd be tempted to play knight takes, but
yeah, just to provoke.
Yeah.
I have a feeling this is the best move, but
yeah, I think king takes is definitely the better move. But
okay, so
knight takes can be terrible.
Here black is sort of fighting for equality. Another thing. So there's been a few suggestions. Raja has the right idea. What about Shahil? Did you have your suggestion in? Normally one of the first. So this is a moment where I'm going to give Gawain another 20 seconds to think, and by coincidence, other people can sort of suggest something. Yeah, Jeremy, I can understand why you're not sure. It's not right.
It's close to what I want to do.
It's close to what you want to do. Yeah. So Kushal is right. Okay, I'm just going to show you how we talk about positional things here in Academy, because it's sort of useful. So first we look for things like where are the weaknesses. So sort of this square is a square under contention. We saw this was weak in some variation. I don't know really if that's, you could say here, but it's hard to see a knight landing there. It's not the most important thing. The knight's pinned, yes, but it won't move, so it doesn't matter. Arachi is suggesting d4, e6, c4, b6, and then a3 being the line. There are many suggestions here. Then we go to the next question is usually what's the worst placed piece, and well, for black it's these two, and for white it would be these two.
I guess if white had enough time to play bishop g2 and castle, he could hope to be a little bit better.
Yeah, so
even
sort
with
of
pawn on a3. So time looks like the main problem. Yeah,
the third question we ask is usually what's your opponent's idea, because it just covers everything: weaknesses, pieces, and opponent's idea. It's very basic things, always which have always been used in chess coaching. We just make them into questions. So Aaron is sort of using the logic here to saying bishop takes f3. Okay, let's have a look. And e takes f3. And
now if you ask those questions again, then d4 has become a huge weakness.
Yeah. So what do you suggest, Gawain?
So now knight c6.
Yeah.
I want that d4 outpost for a knight.
Basically, we get a very strong knight against a bad bishop, and black's advantage is very considerable.
The bishop is completely useless on the long diagonal.
Yes.
For white. It's just now in d4.
Okay, so far so easy. Let's see if we can find something that's a little more interesting here. Just change the share.
Was winning a pawn bad? Let's say.
Was winning a pawn bad? We can go back and look for a second. We're not in a rush at all. I think for most people, hopefully, when they see this, they see that either black is winning the pawn on d4, or the bishops will be exchanged, and the knight will come to d4. Let's say d5, take, threatening the rook here and here. And okay, white is not losing anything immediately, but we can see that the knight is...
Yeah, we can't see anymore. We have the new one.
Sorry, I did change it here, but
yeah.
This happens like once an hour with me.
Okay.
So, nobody is sort of like panicking. They're just like, yeah, we can't see the board again. So here, the bishop gets exchanged. Otherwise, black takes this pawn for free. Of course, white can also take on c5. It's very similar.
Yeah, it doesn't make so much difference whether there's pawns on d5 and b6 or not.
Yeah, probably it's preferable for black, actually. And here we have this strong knight against much less strong bishop. If we take here, Probably we don't take immediately, right? This is more likely.
Probably transposes.
I think here with some rook b8 ideas.
Yeah, the problem for white is there's never any good scenario here. You're always going to have a bad bishop. Even if he exchanges off all the queen side, it's going to be a horrible ending. That knight and d4.
C pawn strikes. So there was a question here. What if we're winning a pawn?
So he wanted to, take on.
Take.
Or take on f3.
And knight c6. And I'm.
You don't have to take on f6 here.
Yeah, I'm maybe a little bit slow, but I don't see how it wins the pawn.
Is this how?
Maybe on b2.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure. That's
you can also take on f6 and play rook d1, and actually you don't have time to win the pawn.
So there are lots of options here.
But this, the outpost on d4 is so important that.
So Jeremy is saying exchange sack on d4. I think actually he's right. So here, this is best. And I think he is right that White's dream here is to play rook takes d4. But black's going to be better anyway.
I would try and not allow it, at least.
It would play.
You won't get any pawns for it.
Play what, queen f6 maybe immediately to prevent castle also. And
yeah, that's what someone's just suggested.
We're winning a pawn. Not sure it's winning a pawn.
I don't think you ever actually want to take that pawn.
Knight f3 anyway.
But you have to play some ugly move, a rook move probably.
Yeah, it doesn't win a pawn because you don't take on f3.
Well, this loses the queen, right? So knight takes f3. So you have to play rook b1 or rook a2.
Okay, actually this might be quite bad, yeah.
But then I wouldn't bother taking the pawn on f3. Take on d5 and castle kingside and rook e8. Have the open file as well.
Everyone wants to castle long and lose. That's not necessary.
As white, maybe castle queenside, but you're likely to get mated.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably the best move to castle queenside.
Maybe a4.
Yeah, or just castle first.
I was just thinking something you take on e6, f4 might come, and good to play a4 before we.
I probably would have castled instead of queen f6, just simple chess.
Okay, well, I didn't see long castle. I went with the crowd. Just castle, maybe f4.
And take on d5. Probably.
Why not take on d5 here?
Yeah, I thought white would probably castle anyway.
Yeah, I just want to avoid bishop takes d5.
We can play f4 if you want to do that, but then the exchange sack looks quite strong.
Is that objectively a sacrifice?
But here I would definitely just recapture on c4. And
like
the advantage
here, we resign, right?
I even have c3, but yeah, it doesn't.
This won't happen, so okay.
But this is probably a good line for white to recapture on c4, and at least you've got a good bishop.
Yeah, I think
a pawn down.
Getting some play is necessary.
Yeah. But yeah, it's clear that black is the one who's doing very well.
Okay, let's see if I manage to move on to the next position this time.
Yeah.
So this should be a little more home territory for you.
Yeah, it looks like some sort of same-ish King's Indian.
Yeah, I think it must be, right?
All these pins.
Hi, Calvin, how are you doing?
Minimize chat for now so that they don't give me the answer.
Yeah, I think it has a tendency to pop up and so on. So if you can pop it out and you put it so it's just outside the edge of the screen, so you just see
okay.
That's really the way it works best.
I see what you mean. So,
yeah, we've done this before. So
how to get it almost off the screen.
Question just when you were
Okay.
in your background, we were asking if you have a FIDE rating and how much it would be if you did.
I do. I guess I have 3 FIDE ratings, but the proper one is 2677.
That's a little bit of a low. So, did you ever pass 2700? You must have, right?
Yeah, I was June 2019. I was 2709. And that was my peak. And then I went to St. Louis and played a double all play all and drew my first 7 games and got tired of all these draws. And so I lost my last 3, going all in as I tend to do at some point.
Aloud as well.
Yeah.
I was there. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, working with Sam.
Yeah, well, we were actually just on holiday. One of our very good friends lives in St. Louis, and we decided to just go on holiday while Sam was there. So no, I wasn't disturbing him during the tournament. I did a few times, but as you can imagine, my opening preparation doesn't attract anyone. So. How generally would you approach a position like this?
So, yeah, I find it trickier when it's cold, of course, than when playing your own game. You've had more flow into it, but just trying to figure out where the weaknesses are in both camps, and then I'm trying to find some candidate moves and work off those, and then hopefully some other ideas will pop into my head. So these patterns, things like discovered knight moves, of course, are attractive. You notice this rook hanging on a1, lots of variations. Potentially the queen on d2 is vulnerable to some knight takes e4 trick.
Yeah, and we should not, as had been suggested, sacrifice our queen because the b pawn is not going to make it.
Also, some queen b6 check at some point might be winning material. But again, it's another position that if white has enough time to play rook b1, and white is probably doing quite well. So I need to act quite quickly.
Yeah, based on this, I can maybe sort of tell you what happened in the game. So this is not the strongest players in the world, but they're quite decent Swedish players from the Swedish league. And a black played knight e5, which sort of could feel very, very normal tempo gaining move. But after rook d6, queen e7, and rook b1, bishop d7, white took on d7 and b3, and positions probably equal. White has 2 pawns and 2 bishops, and should not be anything wrong with his position at all. So that sort of also answers Jeremy's idea of playing knight e5.
I guess by this point I know what I'd play in a blitz game, but I'm not convinced it's the right move. So.
I think here with this is if we talk about our 4 types of decisions, and this is what I would call a complex decision, where even after thinking for quite a long time during a game, a strong player like Gawain would still be to some extent guessing.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I've not missed something basic.
No. There's nothing simple this time. I sort of lulled you into a full sense of security with 2 softballs to start with. So yeah, Jeremy, just to repeat this here for everyone, to show it on the board. So Jeremy was saying, his whole point was if the rook goes back, then black has a little tactic here that wins material.
That would be the dream.
That's a dream, and it is exactly that. It is a dream. But after rook d6, queen e7, here, as I was saying, white brings the rook out of the long diagonal where it's quite vulnerable, and then white took here, and the game continued like this. And here he played.
You can see the thinking process behind.
Better. It wasn't. This is not the dream, I think.
But knight 5 is kind of logical when you see that the rook is trapped on d6. It's just you're giving up a bit too much for it.
Yeah, and Jonathan's saying something here which has this forced thinking. Sorry, I'm just turned into teaching mode here. It is happening automatically for me. Of sort of we can do this first and then knight e5, and now there's no rook d6. But there's also no great incentive for white to move the rook. We can play king here, or
yeah, this was one I was trying to assess. It doesn't feel quite right to me, but
also queen. Yeah, if even here when we take before queen b6, white takes with the bishop, and so
maybe just rook b1, and
maybe just rook b1. This just doesn't feel right. Yeah.
My proposed solution would be completely different.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to sort of go back to these three questions just to break it down into the elements. Where are the weaknesses? Gawain, this time we'll ask you. It's a little bit more tricky. Where are the weaknesses?
In white's position, rook on a1 on the long diagonal, king on g1, also on the long diagonal.
So this is basically the diagonals here are the main things, yeah?
Yeah, and then, okay. As we've seen, potentially something on b5, so I guess the knight.
Maybe the knight. For black, it's quite obvious, I think.
Pawn on d6.
Yeah, it's just pawn on d6, right?
And pawn on b3, it's unclear at the moment whether it's actually
it's one of those things we don't know what it is, really. Jeremy is asking a very fair question. He's going back to this here. We'll just revisit it again. This was the game, and he's asking, could black not take here? And I guess that his idea is bishop f6 as maybe queen b6 and takes, but it should also be fine. So I think
that one must be very good for black, right?
Talk refutation here. But probably black was also fine if white was fine with bishop e8 first and rook b3.
You probably have to play bishop takes e8, I think.
This doesn't work, or what?
No, I thought you just play queen b6 check and take on b5.
And here.
Okay,
but the extra piece. Okay, it's me who cannot.
It's not the end of the world still, maybe.
Okay,
for white, because you're winning the b3 pawn. But
this here.
Black needs
I should say here, black doesn't have an intermediate move because then he doesn't get around to taking the bishop.
Knight c4, but I think
and rook b2
it shouldn't work. Knight c4, even queen d4 might work. Clutching at straws is black.
I'm not sure. Here I'm starting to believe.
And then take on b6. And take on b6 and take on b3.
Take on b6. And not in time, right? Just, for example, take here.
Yeah, even this is.
Then we don't have to debate the line.
Yeah.
Kusha was saying that actually there was a simpler solution here with a clear advantage.
Yeah.
The whole thing is just not working. Okay, so in terms of worst place piece, I'm not sure it's very important for the position, but if anything, again, we're mainly talking this one, right?
Yeah, and I guess the knight on g3 is bad, but it's not, maybe not so relevant.
It just doesn't feel like that kind of position where we're afraid of him maneuvering it around.
Yeah.
we know what the opponent's idea is, which is this. So what are you going for? Going.
Well, I think I would want to go h6.
Mm-hmm. And the idea is to take it?
To take on e4.
This is
to exploit this rook.
Now we take the rook and we have the pass pawn. And basically just forces bishop f6. Were you going to take with here?
I think with the queen, but I'd not.
This is sort of the intuitive move, right? And then rook b1.
But the queen is bad. Yeah, this is the line I was trying to analyze, and then knight e5.
Okay,
now
so here let's try to stop for a moment here. What is black's worst piece?
The bishop on c8.
Yeah. Where does it belong?
Probably d7 at the moment.
So we should at least consider an alternative here.
Yeah.
So this is sort of how these questions can help us just to look at other things. That's the whole point of them. Nothing more than that. So here sees the idea. I should say here black's doing fine, maybe even a little better, but that's about it. I think everyone here.
You're right.
Everyone wants to see at f6, and we don't have half an hour for everyone to calculate the consequences. But here we are threatening bishop d7 very much. And
I guess you can simply compare it to what happened in the game. That now you've got the big bishop on g7.
Yeah.
But in any similar scenario, you'll have control of the dart squares, which will give you a big bonus.
Here, this is sort of the big comparison thing. So this here black's just winning. But if rook d6, as usual, and this is sort of where I was like, we here black can play many things, and the computer even said b2 is very strong, but I think most human move is to play this, and we're still threatening knight e4, and we're threatening queen e7, and everything feels quite loose. And that's because it's about to fall.
A7 is quite risky with that pawn on b3. But
here, can we play b2? It looks right?
As usual, I'm getting carried away by other things. Like, I'm wondering whether rook takes b5 works. But
I thought
but b2 is nice straightforward.
And queen
you have
b2,
to take it.
I was going to take this one.
And then what? Rook a takes d7.
Even queen a5 just wins, right?
Am I not going to get my 3 pieces of the queen?
You're going to take on g7.
Yeah, if I'm.
That is the whole point. Oh, sorry. Now it's just.
But you drop the knight on
why
b5.
Why am I not taking here first, or take on b2 and then taking there?
Yeah, and then take on d8, take on d6.
Yeah.
And then recapture. But it's,
yeah.
And rook takes d6, or it takes b8. Or the rook takes b8.
This is not quite working, yeah? Okay. So here.
But I think queen a5 did the job because of this queen e1 check threat.
And if you take...
King takes... It doesn't matter how you take that queen e1 check and then take on b5.
Yeah, okay, there. There we go. Yeah. Jeremy is right here. He's saying the classic mistake of focusing on one idea and trying to make it work. In chess, we basically have to make decisions. We have to choose between different moves. So the more options we start out with, the better. Okay, let's.
H6 is a very typical move from the King's Indian things. You're always looking at that knight takes e4
it's very
tactic in these same issues.
Was not meant to be very difficult. I did promise you it would be a few softballs. And when we had Tanya Sachdev on, I also gave her a few softballs and was friendly and so on. And then she, well, quite understandably showed like her peak moments as a player. But they were really good, not so easy, and at least I didn't succeed very well in solving anything. So we'll see how good I'll be in solving that. You have to make them easy for me now, otherwise I will typeset your book so everything goes diagonal instead of straight. So
are you ready now, Phil?
I have stopped sharing.
Yes. So if I share screen. Let me know if this works.
This does work. Okay, so I have to
a slightly
jiggle
tricky one to start with.
Yeah, we start straight by
jump in the deep end.
Nobody likes Jakob positions, right?
This is quite interesting theoretically for the series, but I'm recommending the Scotch Gambit. And this is actually the main line of the whole thing.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest e4, e5 here. So it's white to play.
Yeah.
Okay, so my initial thinking is sort of the same lines as I was describing. I see there's a weakness on a6 maybe. I see there's a weakness on g7. If you hold down Alt and press on the squares, that'd be very nice. A6 and G7, sort of what I noticed first.
Sorry, A6, yeah.
Then for worst place piece, that's Alt Control and click. That's the Rook on A1 for sure. Rook on A8.
Black ones.
Yeah, yellow, Alt and Control.
You want yellow, okay.
We have opponent's idea is red. It has to be red.
Okay.
So that's green. That's just Alt. I know it's like
I don't use the yellow ones.
Suddenly, it's first time in a car, right? You know, that is the thing. And black's ideas, which is Alt and Shift, is King B7 and Rook takes F7. So this is sort of the first things I see. Okay, so if you just click next to the board, all this will go away. Just next.
You want it all the way?
Yeah, just out in the blank space. It just goes away. So it's just that's sort of the first thing I see. I also see this idea C5, C4, C3. That means A4.
Yeah, this bishop on B6 is often it really revolves the whole. How do you put it? These Scotch Gambit positions revolve entirely around this bishop, whether it's
I could imagine
good or bad. So we had a pawn on C4, which has ended up sacrificed in the process of attacking on the king's side.
Yeah, so I already sort of have decided what I want to do. My feeling here is this is about prophylaxis, because as my thinking has evolved, I'm seeing more and more this C4 idea as really being very, very annoying. So yeah, I've decided.
Good ideas in the chat.
I've decided what I want to play already, but I'm not going to rush it.
I think it's an extremely concrete position, as we've seen, right?
Yeah, I have an idea, and I'm desperately trying to look for a second idea. I have this thing that I constantly tell to the students here at the academy, that you should always try to have at least 2 ideas for every position. So you're not like any skier. You see one thing, you look at nothing else, and you play it, and then you wonder why you didn't win.
Yeah, I think there's 2 big problems for black in the position. So have to
So there's
utilize both.
at the Olympiad in Batumi, Saga Shah and Anishgiri, they're very close friends. So
Okay.
so Saga is there as a journalist, and one day he ambushes Giri and says, "Do you know Jakob has written an article called 'What is Wrong with Anishgiri?'" Just totally ambushed, which I have, and of course the sort of the joke is not much, but it's just a joke thing. Are we in time for me to come with a suggestion here?
Yeah, I think so.
So for me, c5 to c4 is I just can't. I can't let it happen. It doesn't mean I want to play b3. It just feels a bit timid. It's still.
Yeah, I think b3 would be too slow.
Still black plays c4 at some point, and then maybe even immediately, and then takes an f7. Should be fine. But I want to play.
I think here, actually, with your points of which is black's worst placed piece is probably the key.
Yeah, so it's either the bishop on b6 or the rook on a8, but the rook on a8 has maybe a tendency to be able to come out more. I was going to play queen e2.
Yeah, queen e2.
So the idea is if black plays c4, I actually see it mainly as prophylaxis. If c4, then I want to play queen e6 and bishop e7 afterwards. And this is quite concrete. And
you get to keep your big pawn.
Yeah, the main thing is black can't take it. It's not so much to take an f8, though I'm going to enjoy that bit as well. And if that doesn't happen, then I would very much like to play queen c4. I was thinking that if black plays rook takes f7, I want to put in queen a6 check.
Yeah, rook takes f7 is the
is critical.
I think it's kind of forced. If you don't take
yeah,
the pawn,
otherwise
queen e6 is coming next move anyway. You get to keep the pawn, and
queen d7 is the serious
huge pawn with bishop e7 coming. So take and then this check is actually a novelty.
I want to give this check,
but it's very important
because I don't believe in king b8, then rook e1 and or something like that, and black's not.
Yeah, black has to make a kind of horrible decision now because of this rook on a8.
So queen b7. If queen b7, I'm very happy playing queen c4. I don't need to look further to be happy. That's clear compensation for me. So probably king b8 is critical. It's hard to believe in the move.
Yeah, well, queen b7 is the main move ahead.
Yeah? On king b8, a4 wins maybe on the spot.
Yeah, king b8, a4, and because of this pin, and the bishop is lost. So you managed to exploit both.
But I don't even think we need something radical to play like this. We could play rook c1, or play positionally. We don't need a tactic here to justify the white position.
The importance of queen a6 check here is to stop this king having b7.
Yeah.
So it could come there, then the rook can come out, and black's pieces make sense. So if the king moves either way, then a4 is very strong. With a5 coming.
Yeah, c4 will hang anyway.
And if the queen comes back, you're right with queen c4, and then you've got this terrible bishop e6 and a rook on a8. Black is basically 2 pieces down. There's
and the moment is 3. We're going to win something here, I think.
Well, yeah, but even if you weren't winning something, then the rook can just come into the game. And it's,
I think it's important to underline here that these decisions are not really based on tactics. It's based on the very different value of the pieces, the difference of the king safeties.
Yeah, you've got the king bad, the rook bad, bishop bad. It's all about coordination in black's position. It says tactic with queen e6. There's a question of if queen e6 check here, which is interesting, but
So here, queen
First of all,
d7 is a
yeah,
candidate.
you have to think about queen d7. You can't just. It's very easy to start spending all your time to try and find a forced win here. After the exchanges, which there might be and there might not. You've got to remember that black has quite a big pawn on d4 as well.
Here it does look winning to me, but it's not practical to look for it.
Yeah, I'm likely, but
not even sure.
Easy to overlook something here as well. How isn't this winning? Okay, I've placed some moves. So I guess rook f8 check is probably a big threat. So king b7,
forced, e7, d3 on the move. Idea is rook f8, d2.
Yeah, in this position,
and then maybe rook d8 is winning, but
although there's no threat yet, because you can meet queen with queen,
right?
But still, you aren't threatening to queen that pawn. So, for example, if c6. And maybe you can take on d2 and.
This looks pretty winning. And rook d8
is winning.
No.
It's the sort of thing you have to be extremely careful about if you're going to. It's easy to overlook something and suddenly be losing. Yeah, probably rook d8 is good enough.
Long-term winning, I would say. So I guess.
But yeah, the big problem is you don't necessarily have to exchange queens. There's this queen d7.
And again, this is all about slowing down and not missing the options.
Yeah.
It's very easy to miss things when you go too fast. Of course, white after queen e4 still has a good position. But
yeah, but it's just a worse version of the queen a6.
Yeah, agreed.
It's not so clear again, c6.
Okay, we could also play a4 first. No, we don't have to play queen e4. We play a4 immediately, but still c6. That's right. C6 sort of.
Yeah, probably c6. And give this king some safety. Bishop can come back.
Yeah, chances both sides.
Yeah, and that's not what we want.
No. Okay, I think. Do we have time for one more?
Yeah, it's. This one, should we have this one? Let's skip to some pure tactics, and then we can go back to those ones.
Okay.
This is a variation from a loss of Peter Svidler's, another Scotch Gambit.
Okay.
This one, of course, is a pure calculation one. For now, black's a pawn up, but it has not yet completed its development.
I'm seeing many very strange variations. They're probably nothing to do with what actually is evaluation of the position.
So as an attacking player, you have to always be looking at direct routes, but trying to figure out when they're likely to work. At the moment, white is probably all in already. We sacrificed our queen side. It's only one pawn, but
and also we can see it's a critical moment because including the rook on f1 to e1 doesn't seem to have any purpose, and all our pieces are otherwise ready.
yeah,
So either we have something or everything is bad, and it's better to dream that there's something to play for.
Yeah, if black was just doing very well here, then I wouldn't be sharing the position.
That's my hope.
So, yeah, I think the first move is reasonably easy to guess, at least. But
there's a move.
There's some concrete.
But there was also other moves I sort of was thinking about. Because I was thinking if the black queen somehow could be badly placed and rook c1 was something, but I think at least queen f8 holds everything together.
Yeah.
So as a minimum, that's not a big reward. The first move you look at in this position must be knight f6 check.
Yeah, I think.
And okay, now I see the point. We
can play knight f6 on the board. If black is given time, then well, probably even a move like h6 is going to destroy most of our ideas. But this king is actually very short on squares at the moment. And yeah, we have all of our pieces.
I think knight d4 could be very annoying. This was the move.
Possibly knight d4 is annoying as well. Yeah.
Didn't like the look of.
But yeah, as you were saying, we've got. I can't remember what your colours were. Was it?
Yeah. Now everything's yellow anyway. Yeah, weaknesses.
We have all our pieces apart from the rook on f1.
Rook on e1 on f1, but it's just not relevant.
Yeah, of course, it'd be great if we could somehow play that, but it's illegal. So
I know what I want to play, right or wrong.
So yeah, we have to start with this check.
Check, and then my follow-up is gonna be also a check.
So this knight has to be taken.
Yeah, king h8. We have.
It's actually whichever way you go. There's a.
Right. We also have queen f5. Looks very strong.
There's an immediate win here.
Immediate win. Okay.
Yeah, Kushal has it.
Yeah, I think it's bishop e6 then.
Yeah, and back rank.
Yes, back
and
rank.
In fact, even if you go f8, that's the same. Because
that's nice. I just saw
nice
h7 and life would be okay.
An unusual mating pattern. Well, the bishop on e6, I guess it's not paying any.
Well, the bishop isn't doing anything, so
yeah, so more normal.
It's just an intruder.
They have to take this.
Yeah, and then I was gonna just go very basic here and give a check on g4.
Yeah, Kushal says.
Kushal something brilliant.
Suggestion: Queen g4 is correct. His suggestion was to take, and then play check, which is interesting to go this way.
It's quite complicated here.
Knight 6 and rook d1 with the idea of rook d8, deflecting the knight. But black does have a move in between. Yeah, queen f8 and.
There's also bishop d7 if that was it. It was a strange move, but.
Yeah, bishop d7 is also legal.
It's a little bit weird. It feels
slightly
like
too much.
h3 we're gonna regret it, right?
Give it the tempo.
But yeah, queen f8 is natural. Yeah. No, I wanted to just give a check on g4. See this. I'm probably going to be the wrong kind of customer for your book, because when I grew up, I was taught that the big dream of any gambit player is to get back the sacrifice material, which
normally we do.
Rook takes d8.
Yeah, rook takes d8, and you're doing fine, but you have
I have even more.
You have a forced win here.
Am I considering something else? Okay. Rook d8 was my guilty. I can admit.
Of course, yeah, you can take and then take on.
I saw I was better, and then I'm happy.
Yeah.
Too many blitz games.
When you see something look stronger, that's a good thing to have in the back pocket. So when you analyze and you can't find anything better, you know that you can have some advantage with that.
Yeah, well, we would always try to see if we could take an f6, if this is mate or not. I would spend a lot of time looking at 10 different types of defenses for black.
There's one, again, actually very similar to the last line we looked at. Black's king is still in danger of back rank mate. So we can use that to...
We take an f6, right?
No, Kushal has it.
Kushal has it, yeah. He's smarter than I am. This has been established.
Take on f6 first might also be good, but do you actually have a follow-up if I take on d1?
We can throw in bishop e6 and then take...
Yeah, take on e6 first is very important. So now we're trying to take on d8, so Black has to take. We can have the recapture. Take.
And yeah, here we leave for a moment. And it doesn't work if we take on f6 immediately, or?
I don't think so, no, because
maybe
because I think you can just take on b3. I don't think there's actually a mate there.
Yeah, take on b3. Because queen g7, knight g7, rook d8, knight e8.
Yeah, we can go back in a moment. Yeah, if you just recapture.
Yeah, if we queen g4, yeah.
And then recapture. Yeah, I think you can take. I don't think there is a mate here.
Oh, the computer said rook d1.
Okay, you do the start with rook d1.
Which probably is the same, just a piece up compared.
So yeah, you have to take this first.
Yeah, no, this is very nice.
And yeah, Shahil and
Shahil doesn't count. Shahil is number 3 under 14 in the world. I'm not competing with him. I'll do that on Sundays. That's enough. Not competing with him during the week.
Yeah, he takes f6. With
Shahil actually he missed finishing his IM title in 1 month. He was going to play for the 3rd norm on the last round, and then he got COVID positive.
Oh no!
Yeah,
I'm sorry to hear that.
A few months ago. No, well, he was fine and so on, and he will get the title and so on. But actually, of these 3 tournaments, the middle one he missed the GM norm, like 1 move GM norm situation. So he's a scary little kid. So I've known him since he was what, 10, 11 maybe.
11.
Yeah. So,
have we got time for one more?
Yeah, we will accept you as long as you have. So
this is so this second volume is going to be primarily E4, E5 and the French, and I'm suggesting the advanced variation.
Yeah, I know exactly what's in the first volume. It's the Sicilian, it's the Scandinavian, it's the Caro-Kann, and the last one, Alekhine.
And the Alekhine, yeah.
Yes.
So this looks like a bizarre position, but reasonably common for advanced French.
Yeah, we play for structure more than for piece play at this point. That's very normal.
So Black has 2 odd-looking knights, but there are probably 3 bad knights on the board. But ours on A3 is not great, but for now, these knights are both offside. But of course, this one has potential. Actually, so does this one.
Oh yeah, given time, Black will be fine, yeah?
Yeah, it's quite concrete in that respect. But Black's pieces look strange now, but we're in danger of being overextended if we can't.
The whole repertoire has a very strong dynamic tint. So
yeah,
it's like everything is concrete, and that's not a bad thing.
That's a good idea. Sorry, not sure how you pronounce it. Arata. Suggested bishop d2, which is the right idea. But there's an improved version.
So the idea is Bishop
So
a3.
temporarily sacrifice this, and then queen a4, forking the knight and bishop.
Here I was thinking knight c4 at least would be fine for black.
Yeah, you get some.
And just
it's not entirely clear to me.
And just
This position, but,
bc4 and queen b5, and
you've got very good compensation for the pawn there. In fact, I think this is white would be very happy with that because of the domination of the light squares.
I think so, because the queen's going to be on the d5 square and then bishop c6. I was thinking it might be lost.
We can double check. I think I'd be more concerned about that a6. Just threatening to win this knight for good.
Again, also playing knight c4. It's also
yeah. And
I think
Shahil,
first idea was
you start with queen a4, then probably also a6. It's going to.
I can tell you what my first idea was, because it's probably entirely wrong. You can tell me it's wrong, and then we can go past it. My first idea was bishop d3 to play queen e2, and just try to fight for the c4 and b5 squares, which seems to be very important.
I think it's fine, but a little bit slow.
Yeah.
I think
you
both sides are probably okay with bishop d3.
Yeah.
Which, as we've been discussing, worst pieces, but which is black's best piece?
Oh, this is what we call the Shankland rule, and it requires a little explanation, because before Sam started playing chess, I wrote a book called Excelling at Chess, and one of the ideas I suggested in the book was that you should see if there's a move you want to make and see if you can make it, because maybe it will work for tactical reasons all the same.
Yep.
And then Sam later put it in a DVD and called it the Shankland rule, like if he had invented it himself. So we always remind him about it by referring to it as the Shankland rule.
And Eddie's got it.
So this is what I think this is. So the first move I saw, I disregarded, and it would be the first move I think any strong player will think about. I disregarded because it looked like a blunder. But it is potential that it is not a blunder. I don't know if I should say any more.
Yeah, people in chat are getting the idea now.
Okay, so the chat is broken between. It does go from around 1200 to 2500. So it's sometimes we have sometimes some classes, we call them under 1800 fundamentals or stuff like that, and there was one case of Renier, one of our lecturers, was thinking, oh, this is way too easy because Shahil and Kushal are in every class, and they were quickly coming with the ideas. And even though technically Kushal is under 1800, then that is not what it really is. I'm still.
How else do people pronounce your name?
Sorry.
No, Eddie said I was the first one to pronounce the name correctly. But
I'm still struggling with a tactic here.
Jeremy, that doesn't work with an out and a5. Your first was correct.
Can I try to go for an idea and then you can tell me I'm entirely insane? So I'm thinking whether or not I can play bishop g5.
Yeah, bishop g5.
And then I'm sort of thinking bishop a3.
So yeah, just on strategic ground, that you want to get rid of this dark square bishop. Because the other bishop is terrible with all black pawns on white squares. So yeah, of course you want to get rid of this bishop, but we're leaving the knight on pre.
So here I'm relying on queen a4 to work. I still haven't worked out all the details, so it's bishop b2 is critical. And rook b1 and bishop c3. I'm constantly thinking if I have some like idea like queen b4, queen e7, but I couldn't see it was working. So
yeah,
there's rook f7. So, or do I have a stronger move here? There. Is this the moment I play bishop d2? Does it work here? I was thinking a6 was solving everything.
Something's. How is it? No, I somehow I overlooked bishop b2 in the book, which is worrying.
Oh, yeah. I know why that happened, because it's not good. The computer didn't suggest it. But this is we have this issue constantly when we bring up positions. What we just say is like, okay, clearly computer didn't tell me this, and I didn't look carefully enough. But I think I have a solution for you here, which is bishop d2.
Yeah.
A6 rook b1.
I don't think we need anything actually complicated. I think we can the bishop remains trapped by just attacking it with rook b1.
Well, bishop c3, I don't think.
And then rook c1.
And rook fc8.
But now your king is extremely weak.
Bishop e7 to c5 or something?
I think we can play queen a3, right? And come in.
I was worried about something. Okay.
But yeah, I should.
This always happens. You just get used to it eventually. So no, here I'm like, even if knight f7, it's sort of playable. Unless
then it's very similar to the main line.
Unless you tell me this in computer line, because after that I had bishop d2. I really liked on bishop b2. If we can just look at that.
Bishop d2 is a bit scary though, because of the same a6 that I was.
Yeah, and then rook ab1. Was sort of my tactical point.
But now Kushal's suggesting taking on b5, and then we'll take on b2.
Rook b2.
Then take on a4. It's not
take on b6.
Clear to me at all. There's also knight c4 first.
Yeah, that's probably more worrying, right?
I think we can just have a better version. After a6, this rook on a8 is getting involved. So.
Yeah, no, this knight c4 move is very annoying. So.
I think I prefer just to attack it straight away, and you can defend it. Or Kushal says rook ac8 is better, but the same. Yeah, okay. I've got a very. I only use cloud engines to actually do my analysis, but I've got it on my other computer running Deep Fritz. Slowly.
Queen
Deep
a3,
Fritz 14.
bishop e7.
Yeah,
also.
Queen a3 is. Does the job.
That's good.
Take on d4. Take.
And massive compensation.
You take on d4 is queen e7 now, going to.
Ooh.
Mate you. You needed that bishop. Maybe not mate immediately, but.
I said mate after rook. f7. You. It's not mate. It's take c8 and then check and rook f8 and take on a5 under better circumstances.
Sorry, how was your?
No, what? Rook f7? What?
If rook f7. I thought I had something here in my head.
It's easier to attack when you have knights.
Maybe queen d6 instead of queen e7.
Queen d6 is poisonous.
What I want to play here is queen takes d7. But
unfortunately,
rook takes c1 is annoying. It's vicious rook. I don't really believe it if I'm not winning the rook as well.
No.
I thought queen e7 was... Oh, yeah.
No, but...
Ellie, you're right, with queen d6 is the way to do it.
Yeah.
I get silicon assistance. But yeah, this is a bit more complicated than I realized at the...
And here, rook f7, maybe bishop e7 is besides, yeah?
It's a nice strategic position after rook f7, right? Looking at all of black's minor pieces. Woeful squares.
Yeah. Now here we can have a worse placed piece, can't we?
It's probably quite an interesting competition in black's position, which is a worse place.
I think the
queen on d4 is also a bit short. It
has some function. But here bishop e7, no? I don't see a move.
I'm told it's more precise to throw in exchanging rooks first, and then bishop e7.
Okay.
So what, queen b6? And now is it just rook c1 or something?
And then take with the pawn.
Yeah.
And
rook take on c8 is...
Oh my gosh, this is... I have not seen anything this awkward since last time I played chess.
You can go knight c4, but this exchange isn't going to help very much.
This is what we call compensation, yeah?
Yeah. It's almost a shame that there's mate after queen takes queen, because e takes d6 is prettier. But,
well, after bishop c4, black could take on d6. So you can
yeah, you could do it this way around, yeah.
So here...
recapture.
No, you get the full thing.
So you're a piece up in the endgame, but that knight on h8 is not much of a piece.
Oh, gosh. I might have to study a book. This looks like the way to go.
But yeah, the slight omission in the book that I don't look at keeping the bishop. The line I've got is knight c4, which is why I was thinking about the line with bishop.
The other line was so familiar to you.
Yeah. And now exchange. And here one more important move.
Well, I'm sure it's d5.
Yeah, d5 is a very good pawn sacrifice.
We can maybe explain
that
very briefly. Put pawn back.
So black's counterplay here would be queen d5, bishop c6. If he had time for those two moves, we'd be in a lot of trouble ourselves on the light squares. So worth a pawn to stop that. But not only do we stop that, we also open up the d file for our rooks to come in the attack.
I think here we are going straight through.
Yeah, the line I've got is
rook d6, rook d4.
Rook d4, calm, and just bring all the pieces.
Yeah.
Invite everyone to the party.
Rook d4, because the queen on c6 is not that well placed, actually.
Yeah, stopping the bishop on d7 from getting to any good square. Yeah, and this position is just completely lost for black. You still have that huge problem with your king. So this plan of bring a queen in is not easy to stop.
No, I was thinking bishop e8, queen e7, and that's it. You know.
I think that's probably it, right?
Yeah, that's just no.
You can't move the knight from f7 because of queen g7 mate, and otherwise goes around the other way.
I want to play chess like this again.
Yeah, it's good when it works like this.
I remember, finish with a little anecdote. We were playing together for a team maybe around 10 years ago. And I sort of played very badly with black out of the opening. And after like 5-6 moves, I was already much worse in a reti. And my opponent offered me a draw. And I was sort of feeling like, no, come on, I have to play. And I looked over at you, and you played e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, knight c3, a6, a3, g6, knight e5. You played knight e5 the moment I looked over, and it's like, if he can play like that, I can agree a draw. So obviously, did we lose anyway?
Shahil pointed out that we missed the.
Yeah, Shahil is good for that. So obviously you won your game easily, and I was fired.
There's certainly nothing. White is definitely not worse after that
White
version of the
is still
Halloween.
better here, right? Like.
Yeah, here does rook d7 work? Not that we needed to give the knight.
I'm worried that it doesn't because of something
Right, yes.
like queen. No.
It's a bit messy, right?
I saw this, but I thought
because the queen can come and take on e5. But yeah, maybe this is always getting a bit carried away in positions. For example, after bishop e8, there's nothing wrong with bishop e7 winning a rook for free.
That's certainly possible. I think also king g2 was fine.
Yeah.
Or knight h4.
Just preparing queen e7.
Not knight h4. We don't. King g2, knight g5.
Knight h4 drops the bishop.
I think in general we should drop the bishop. Bishop e7 thus very logical.
Bishop e7 winning that is probably bishop f6
it has
is also
to be
good enough.
Like that. Okay.
But yeah, win the
I think we already have a good taste for what your book's going to be like.
Okay, but as I had a bit of a hole there, let's have one last one of just one move that another French.
Another French.
Black's got very greedy and grabbed.
I was about to say white blundered away the center, but it's of course different perspectives.
If you don't like sacrificing the pawn on d4, then the repertoire I'm suggesting against the French is not for you. But
yeah, that's possible. No, I'm looking forward for these tournaments without Indian juniors. So my
we need to drink coffee to understand from Taran.
I'm also don't drink coffee, so I'm maybe not the target audience. Yeah, so my first thinking in this position is if I should bring in the rook or if I have something direct. So for example, I'm very instinctively I'm want to play rook e6, rook e1. I just feel that after rook e6, f e6, rook e1, d4, I'm about to have.
Yeah, that's going to be a complete mess. There's also knight f5 in those lines.
Yeah. I was thinking maybe knight d5. I have some counterplay.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just I'm just generating ideas.
It's an awful lot to give the rook.
Yeah, it's here d4 is then my pieces don't harmonize anymore.
Yeah, or Shahil's bishop d7 is also.
I'm not surprised that there are options for black.
So black is 2 pawns up, but has 2 problems at the moment.
I would love for the main problem is the bishop on f8 is blocked in.
Well, Jeremy is right too. There's the queen on f6 is also a big piece in trouble.
It's a little bit out of squares. I would love for knight e4 to work. This is sort of the tactic move. We want to work in some combination. But
yeah, the bishop on c6 is doing a good job though of controlling the d file. But black, it's not so straightforward for black. For example, knight f5 is the move he'd like to make, but then he'll run into problems with knight 6 d5 with this. In along the e file.
I was thinking that black's next move would be d4.
Yeah, so probably d4 is the
main threat.
And then you activate this bishop and the knight, and you can start getting your pieces involved. So Shahil has the right idea, but not quite, not the most precise move order.
Yeah, I normally think for a long time in these kind of positions, just trying to get ideas. Could you click outside the board? The colors sort of.
Sorry. Yeah.
They draw so much attention to themselves.
People in chat are wanting.
I'm still wanting pieces into the board and so on. Another idea which I'm very seriously thinking, because I don't want this d4 thing, I don't want to play bishop e5 because after queen g5, queen d4, then f6 or something like this. I feel like I'm solving black's problems more than pushing them. The move I really wanted was rook e5, but I'm now seeing g5 is maybe a serious move. And then
g5 is a bit annoying then.
And hg5, knight g6, and I probably is not happening.
Yeah, a lot of chat. I've had it enough now. Once bishop e5, queen g5, and then queen d1 or queen e2, mostly queen e2.
Okay, yeah, unfortunately.
With the idea of f4.
I think everyone saw the box.
There was already a correct guess.
Okay, yeah, I saw the box.
From Shahil,
I'm not going to say anything.
I'm not sure. This chess base, I don't know when it shows the box and when it doesn't.
So basically, when you suggest a new move in a position, it can show it. So
but not always. But anyway.
But what we do is we start by placing, having the board. What I do is have the board on one screen and the box on another, and then it doesn't come up ever.
Okay, thanks, Shahil. Control and right arrow.
If you have a two-screen setup, then that solves it.
I guess pressing T also would get the thing. But yeah, here probably a knight move, right? Is the
D8 is more natural, right?
But maybe can you even get away with going to f5? Some f4 bishop c5 check is not going to be very clear to me. So yeah, as Shahil already suggested, and then people have seen in the box.
Yeah.
Queen d1.
Yes.
The same idea to trap this queen with bishop e5 and f4.
This is very nice.
And the problem for black is that moving the knight will now run into knight takes t5 issues because you've kept the pin along the e file. And here you lose one of your extra 2 pawns, and you've got some huge issue with this.
Oh, you lose more right now.
Yeah, well now, but we're threatening to take on f5 and on b7.
Is quite bad, yeah.
And the queen is still not safe.
No, it's sort of resigns.
Yeah, it's completely lost. In fact, I don't know whether there's some bishop e5 here as well to start. But will that transpose? Yeah, that one. The queen on d1.
Queen g5, yeah. And then f4, still winning.
It might still be winning with queen on d1, but it's unnecessary. Knight takes e5 is definitely.
C5, why is this king h2 still winning? No, bishop f5 in the end.
In fact, this is.
That looks winning to me. Next move is bishop f5, and thank you.
Knight e3, you can simply take it.
I can take a g5 also.
Yeah, then I was thinking 3 pawns a piece, but g7.
Take on d1, take on g7, and gh6.
Yeah, so you can probably go queen d1 here, but it's if knight f5.
But knight f5 is not forced. Let's stop here for a moment.
Yeah, so probably if bishop e5 first, you should drop back to c8. Not allow that. The problem with including bishop e5 earlier is that your bishop on g4 is also hanging, as well as that you've blocked the e-file.
Mm-hmm. Just thinking if there's any way to play dynamically with two pieces for black. It just feels far-fetched.
How are you getting two pieces with d4?
A d4 maybe or something, but it's just rubbish.
When you've got no pieces developed, it's
yeah. I'm always looking for something I don't see immediately, because that's the only things that was worth looking for.
Kushal suggests knight g8 with the idea of giving the queen a square and cast the queen side.
But what about knight d5?
Yeah, I think we'll take on d5. We're not going to chase the queen again. Now knight c7 is a big threat, so you have to take. But now you're a long way from castling.
We're very much threatening bishop e6. Yeah.
This bishop doesn't actually have a square on f8. Though they only have the e7 square for both pieces. So
rook d8 is forced to avoid losing at one move, right?
So rook d8.
Yeah, or queen d8.
Something to stop taking on e6, yeah. But now we're not even material down. And
it's equal. It's equal. But only
in the worst case, if I can't find mate, I'll take on a6 and then I'll push the a pawn and queen while you're.
I think mate will be there.
But yeah, I thought this queen d1 was a pretty move.
It is very pretty, and
it's highlighting quite how bad this queen
is. Much longer
to
find than we had. It's very nice. I think we're going to have to wrap this up, Gawain.
Yep.
So, oh yeah, John told me he sent you an email, and could you a few weeks back.
Okay.
So, yeah, nothing more to say about that. Good, and best wishes to your wife.
Thanks for having me on.
It was a pleasure. I'm sure the crowd were happy.
Kushal wants a review of Volume 1.
He wants a review. Does he want a review or a review copy? I should give a review of Volume 1. I actually really liked it. I thought the variations suggested in general were very interesting, very novel, very modern at the same time as trying to go in for this concept of coffee house chess. This is not bad variations. It's just good old gunslinger variations.
Yeah,
and Shahil likes it when I miss saying, "Oh gosh, you should see my games."
Yeah, I've tried to be very careful to have interesting lines that are actually sound as well.
Yeah, no. I wasn't afraid like I couldn't play this stuff. For example, chapter 1, the variation is called the Carlsen variation, and it's not from the father; it's from the son, the actual world champion.
Yeah.
And it was played by Grischuk against Maxime Verchier-Lagrave, and it was our game of the week. Was it Sunday the week before, or was it this Sunday? I already lost touch with the candidates. It feels such a long time ago.
Yeah, the one before, I think. But
which openings are covered in Volume 1 and Volume 2?
Yeah, where Grischuk knocked out MVL from any hopes of becoming world champion.
It's right on the variation. I guess if you stop sharing, I could maybe find a not yet proofread, I have to say, version of the PDF here. We can just bring it up. Good. Coffee House 1E4. Typeset. Boom, boom. Here. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Now you're going to have to tell me if you hate the design. It can still be changed. So we'll show a little bit. So there's some preface. And the contents pages is over 2. So we have like the Sicilian on 1 page. I'm in 2 screen setup, so I'm looking to the side. So we have a Carlsen variation, and then we divided the things up. Well, Gawain did some of the chapters into sections. And then we have the Caro-Kann, the Scandinavian, and the Alkine. And the way we have, you get your little coffee mug.
Oh, yeah.
And the way we have done the chapters, so there's an introduction. So we've done it like this. Well, I have done it like this. And then we have sort of introduction, what we're hoping for, sometimes some model games.
There are model games in all the major.
Yeah,
lines.
and then we have sort of the theory pages that look like this. So if you like this, we're keeping it. A desperate silence is coming from the side of the border. So that's sort of the layout here, and this is a Carlsen variation. And I think if I go any further, I'm putting the whole book online. So I'll stop right here.
I guess it'll appear there soon enough.
Sorry?
I guess it'll appear there soon enough.
Yeah, we do try to sort of limit that, but
I played recommendations against chameleon variation in my games.
The chameleon variation was there in
the knight G2.
Yeah, I think we're getting to the point where we could always continue, and these guys, they don't want us to.
Yeah, I hear movement downstairs as well, so I think I'm needed.
I think we heard your dinner arriving an hour ago. So, at least. Ellie wants you to come and teach a few classes for us. Well, we do some camps sometimes. Are you around, generally available?
At the moment, well, replying to John's email, that one is taking up most of my time. So
yeah. Yes. So
sometime in the summer, is it?
Okay, so no, we can always ask Gawain to come back for a camp, another class. I'm sure he will let us down easy if he doesn't have the time.
Yeah, if I have time, I'd enjoy it.
That's the dog waking up?
Yeah, yawning away.
Thank you very much, Gawain.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
See you soon. Bye.
Shahad says, I want to see the dog. No, this is it. Goodbye.